me stop you for a second. There's only one thing we're here to do today is if you guilty or not guilty. You want to have a trial, and that's all we're here to do.
Well, I see where you're coming from on that. If I answer your question, would that be consenting to your process?
All you're doing is setting a date for you to come back for your hearing, so if that's what you want to have.
Well, what I would like to do actually at this point, I do need to understand the nature and cause of the proceedings against me in order to plead, as I understand it. But before I do that, I do have some questions. Before I get to that point, I would like to make this offer.
Why don't you give me a synopsis of it?
The offer is that the men and women calling themselves the City of Keene will agree to discharge the current matter and only prosecute me when they have evidence of the victim. In return, I agree to have the offending couch removed when the original complaining party introduces themselves to me and asks me to remove it like an adult.
Hang on a second. We have a busy morning here. If you want to negotiate with the city, I don't negotiate this position. If you want to negotiate, that's between you and the city.
You're welcome to put that in front of whoever is authorized to accept that.
I'm going to return it to you, and you can give it to me.
Who would that be? Who would the appropriate person be? You'd be authorized to accept this agreement? Sure, I'll take it.
Give it down now,
All right,
folks.
so we'll set a date for your hearing.
I'm not consenting to your process.
I'm going to stop you right now. We have a busy morning. We have to do one thing is to set the date right now, and that's all we're going to do.
Are you asking me for my consent?
I'm just going to set a date.
Are you entering a plea on my behalf?
Yes, not guilty.
Okay. Now, are you representing me?
I'm representing the court. I'm the judge in this hearing.
How is it you can enter a plea?
I'm not going to engage in a dialogue with you. If you can say one more word, I'm going to have you removed. You can wait outside for your notice.
Will you be sending men with guns after me if I don't show up to your trial?
One more word, and I'll have you arrested. Wait outside for your notice.
So what happened was they brought Ian out here and they were going to question him, but then we came out with our cameras and they brought him in that room over there so that we couldn't record their process. They also had Ian turn off his personal recorder.
Yeah, that's good. I need room up here.
How are you?
Very short period of time. Oh, no, I think we're good. I don't believe it.
Well, I went in that room with Carl, the couch enforcer guy, and he asked me not to record so we could discuss my offer, which you saw me give the judge and give to Carl. And so I went in there, recording was off, and he said, let's talk about this man-to-man. I said, great, I'm all for man-to-man. And so he was being much nicer than he's ever been, and he was talking about how, he's got a job to do, and he has a boss, and his boss, wants certain things, and
Don't want you to forget.
so,
I'll be back up to my keys and just...
So he was saying that he was certainly willing to take a look at this in front of his boss, the offer that I made, which was essentially that they'll not bother me except when they actually have a victim, and in return I get rid of the couch if somebody actually, the original complainant, comes to meet me. And he said that he would actually talk to the lady. He said there really is a real complainant, and she really does live down the street. And I said, well, great. All I wanted to do is meet her, and we'll talk about this like adults. And so he said he was going to work on making that happen. He just was very nice for the first time. So I guess maybe they just didn't want me doing all that stuff in front of the audience there, and they wanted to have kind of a private little conversation. So if this lady does agree,
get ideas about the kinds of things they can do if they actually assert their rights.
Right.
Like get arrested if they say one more word.
Notions like that into their heads, right?
Right. So they wanted to get me out of there. So that's why we had that little private discussion about what we could do to just sort of make this go away. He said he wanted to make all this silliness go away, and so maybe they will. He said they
silliness that they started.
Right. And he was concerned for the complainant. She didn't want to cause a conflict, and I'm like, well, that's fine. I don't want conflict either. I just want to talk to somebody like an adult. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they've got their trial or whatever, and their notice, which I'm not going to wait for. They wanted me to wait. If they want to send me more of their paperwork, they can certainly do that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe I'll get to meet the complainant, and she'll be nice, and I'll get rid of the couch, and they'll cancel their process, and we can move on.
Good job, Ian.
Yeah, way to go. So what happened to me, we were in the courtroom, and Mike and I were standing there with our cameras videotaping the bailiff and the judge, and the bailiff, one of the other bailiffs, came over to me and says, "Step out here with me." And so I stepped outside, and there were two cops there and the bailiff guy, and he wanded me down again. This is after I'd been wanted on the first time. They patted down every inch of me just to make sure I didn't have any weapons. And then the guy says to me, he's like, "We want to make sure you don't have any guns in here, because cops are the only ones who can have guns in here, because apparently we're safe if the government tells us so."